And hello, Eric. Just so you know, for other people at home, I'm just going to state that we're both comfortable being under 6 feet away. We're both vaccinated, and we both feel comfortable with this. This is why we're doing it in person. We finally get to see people in person, and that's the fun part of doing this instead of over Zoom.
Absolutely.
Hello, Eric. I am a sophomore at Millikan. I'm studying cybersecurity.
Okay.
And although from studying and doing cybersecurity in the future, I also want to manage a business.
Okay.
With a future wife, with a friend, may it be whoever. I just want to own a business. I think it would be really fun. I hear you've been very much a good manager from other people, and I want to hear from you. I have a couple questions for you on how you manage a store and how you do anything. Is there how long have you been in the business of doing things?
I've been a manager ever since 2002, I believe, with different places.
I was 2 years old.
Oh, well, that kind of dates me, doesn't it? That makes me feel old now. So while you were still in diapers, I was managing a store. So I've done a few different things. I've worked in the restaurant industry. I've worked in the staffing industry. I've also worked in loss prevention, and then now back in the restaurant industry again. So it's a little bit of history there.
All right. Well, I just have a couple questions for you. I want this to be more of a conversation than it is. We're both friends here. We're both in person, so let's make this fun instead of drilling you with some questions. And
okay.
The first one is, what's the main aspect of a manager? What makes up a manager and owning a store?
What makes up a manager? I would say being able to motivate people. I think that's probably a large part of it, is being able to find areas of opportunity in people and inspiring them, getting them to better themselves, getting them to have buy-in for your ideas. You don't always want to dictate your ideas. You want them to kind of have buy-in, get them to kind of help with the decision making, and then help them to grow as a person, as a leader, and ideally to show some potential for those people that may not see it in themselves. So I think the inspiration piece is one of the largest things of being a manager, and just trying to work with people and find out what motivates them.
Because they might not find it important to work in a business. I mean, you got a 16-year-old and they're like, this is just some stupid, but it's important. They're running a business. If it wasn't for them, then you probably wouldn't.
We couldn't function.
Yeah.
We really couldn't. I mean, it takes everybody from your dishwasher to your, hostess to your, everything. It has to play that part in order for this business to thrive. I mean, you can have the best managers in the world, and if you don't have a great crew to follow that up with, your business will fail. No question about it. I mean, you need all levels of that, without a doubt.
What is the most important to you talking about the employee? So out of all those things, what's the most important in an employee?
I think their willingness to learn. Their adaptability. Mm-hmm. If you have someone that's stagnant and they're not willing to learn or not willing to change, I mean, the restaurant industry I'm in now, as well as all the other businesses I've been in, it's never the same. I mean, heck, we got hit with COVID. I mean, if we weren't willing to adapt and to change and do things differently, we would have lost our business. And if we have people that are stuck in the water and not willing to change anything, or not willing to look at ideas or whatever, your business will fail. I mean, you're only as good as your weakest link. And so, I mean, if that weak link is there, sometimes you have to sever that cord, because if they're not adaptable, not willing to change, and not saying they have to do it on their own, but when you give them the ideas and whatnot, they have to be willing to be motivated in order to change and to move the business forward in the right direction.
And not about the employees, but what's important to you as a business itself?
I mean, obviously every business is in business to make money. I think that's the given, obviously. If you don't make money, you're probably not doing something right. But I mean, there's other aspects as well. I mean, speaking with my owner, he doesn't always, he obviously wants to make money, no question about that. But I mean, he was more interested in growth and also diversifying our business, which in turn does make money. But, we were so, honed in on just, indoor dining, and that's it. He wanted me to expand the drive-through business. He wanted me to expand the catering, the drop-off deliveries, the business-to-business people, that kind of thing, as well as, just the outreach and the networking. So that way,
COVID closing down the lobby also probably pushed you to do something.
That killed us, without a doubt. I mean, I've been here for 9 years, so luckily we haven't been dealing with it for that long, just, year and a half. But even during when we first started, I sat down with him and I said, what is your goal? What do you want me to do? And he basically just said, I want growth on the store. I want to diversify the store. I want the staff trained. At the time, we had like a dish guy and we had a hostess or whatever, and like no one was cross-trained, and it made it very difficult to do the scheduling and the staffing, because if you didn't have a dish guy working that night, then you're out of luck. So like he wanted me to start cross-training people, start getting people to learn a lot of positions. We had like one manager at the time, and so it was like really need to get some people up in the management part, so we can find some leaders and that kind of deal, and then just really work on the recruiting as well. I mean, because our staffing was just a quick turnover all the time, just all new people all the time. And so we really wanted to work on, keeping the staff, finding a way to keep them happy and to keep them around, because that's the only way we can really grow the business too, is we have to have some tenured people that know what they're doing. Otherwise, I have to be here all the time, and that burns you out as well. As a leader, I mean, you can't work all the time. I mean, you want to be there a lot to put your influence in there, but eventually, like, you get burnt out. And so there has to be that balance between the work and professional life. And if you don't have that, then you're stuck. And then your business is stuck as well. So that was some of the things that he thought was most important. And I try to do that. Like all the places I've worked, is try to find out, from the owner or the leader above me, what's the most important to you? What is it? And, compliance was a big thing as well, as our store wasn't compliant at the time. And so it's like, we're going to give you a list of things, and all these things need to be in compliance. Also, our health scores at the time, health department, they want to get those up. They weren't always the best in the world, so we are raising those. So it wasn't just about making money, it was improving the quality of the store, improving the customer relations. Whenever they came in, they had a better experience for us. And then also, and making money on the other end, but just diversifying as well.
So speaking on the fun part of managing a Hickory River or any kind of business, why should I own and manage a business? What makes it fun for me?
Oh, the fun for me, I can't answer for you, but the fun for me is to start a new project like this one, for instance, and see where we're at. And I try to write down all my metrics of where we're at. How much money we're making, what's our sales, what's our health scores, and all those things, and watching that grow. And not just by a little bit, but really trying to push myself and my staff and seeing the change from year to year to year. That was big for me. And also to be able to take that back to the owner and set goals. As I would love to set goals and say, we're going to try to grow the business 10% on the top line this year. And he's like, the business has never done that before, so you can set that goal if you want. That'd be great, but I'd be happy with 2%. And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. We need to shoot for 10. Even if we don't hit it, like, I want to shoot for something much higher than what he expects. And that way, if we fall a little short, it's still above what he wanted. And so that's what I've loved the most in the enjoyment. I mean, I have barbecue in my blood, like I have a passion for barbecue. I love barbecue, so this job's a little different for me as well. But, on top of that, like, I love to see the progress that the store's made, the changes that it's made, the staffing that it's had, the elevated scores, the better customer response, the expanded business. We've almost doubled our sales since we've been here, which is, pretty incredible for a small business.
And it feels good on your part, too.
Well, it does. I feel a great sense of accomplishment, and the owner sees that as well, which I really appreciate. He's a great guy to work for. And so he sees that, what we do, and he's very grateful for us. Comes in and gives us the encouragement and whatnot, and also is lends us a helping hand, make sure that we have the right tools to do the job, and if we see that we might be able to do something a better way, he's been very good about having an open checkbook as well to write checks for expenses if we need to try to make the business better. I mean, we try to take all of his investment and put it towards the business and make sure we're getting the biggest bang for his buck, which I'm sure he appreciates as well.
And for me to own and manage a company or a small business in the future, what should I know about? Like, what are the secrets behind managing and owning a business that most people wouldn't think about?
Know that your staff will always at some time let you down, which is unfortunate, but they will, because you always think you're going to hire this great staff and they're going to be perfect. And it's just not going to happen. that was a disappointment for me. But also realize people's potential and look for the people that you might grade on a monthly basis or whatever. Do a review on your staff on a regular basis and look where your low players are, and those are your areas of opportunity. What can you do with that individual to work with them and make them a better employee? Because that's how I always looked at it, is like, I don't have losers on my team. I have people that are not winners yet, but I need to find a way. I need to find what they're good at. Maybe they're not good at the position I put them at. And that's just as much my fault. Is I need to find something they're good at that they can excel at, give them something to work for, have them buy in as well, make sure that they're writing some goals for themselves, and then do what I can to help them achieve that, so that way we don't have any bottom players. And if you have somebody that's not willing to conform, kind of like we talked about earlier, might be time to let them go, which is disappointing. But I really look for those areas of opportunity that I can take those people and mold them and put them in a path that they're going to have success. Maybe they're not going to jump right up into store management or anything like that, but at least they're set in a way to help with life. Skills you learn in the restaurant and other jobs and whatnot, there's skills you can apply to life. And that's really, I want people to win at life. And I know we're just a stepping stone for a lot of people. They're only here while they're in high school or just, first couple of years of college or whatever. But I want that to be a real solid platform for them to learn a lot of skills here and to move forward. And to find people that maybe want to run a business or whatever and be able to mentor them as much as I can. Because I had that for me. Whenever I started running a business, I didn't know much about it, but I had a boss over me that said, hey, let me sit down with you and kind of show you how to read financial statements, and let me show you how to prepare a budget, and let me show you how to manage your expenses and cut the fat of what's not really necessary, especially whenever your sales aren't really what they need to be. And then as you grow, you can start rewarding your employees as well, which is really the fun part whenever you're really doing a good job, and you can throw a pizza party for them, or you can send somebody on a little trip, or give them a couple paid days off, or whatever. Some of those things really make a big difference to people. If you got somebody that isn't making a lot of money, or they're kind of hurting, maybe throw them a couple free dinners or a gas card or something like that. And the giving aspect is really what's been great for me, as well as helping out the community and getting the community involved. When your store does well, you have money that you can donate towards charities or towards good causes or whatever the case is, and really start helping out the community as well. And that's when you really start feeling good about it. It's not a good paycheck for yourself, because of course you got to take care of your family, but when you have that excess, you can start spreading around and helping people in need and helping people, just because you can. That's where the fun's at. That's where it's at.
So going back to my earlier question on what's important in an employee, what makes an employee good? And on time and does his work does not satisfy this question.
Those are great things. Yeah, they need to be on time. They need to complete their work. Those are important. But kind of going back to what we said before, the adaptability and finding someone that's willing to change, finding someone that's willing to kind of go out of their comfort zone to learn and to do things that's needed. That's important for me. And it's not necessarily finding the best and the hardest worker, but finding a way to inspire people. Because when someone gets inspired, their whole demeanor changes. And they could be having a bad day, and you inspire them to do something different. They're like, hey, this is actually all right. This guy actually cares about me. I'm not just a number. I'm not just checking off some boxes on a checklist. This guy actually cares. He's wanting to develop me. And that's what I want. Is I want an employee who wants to be developed. I don't need you to be the best possible. Another thing I've also learned is hire people that are better than you, if at all possible. Because if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. There has to be people that you hire that are smarter than you, more educated than you, willing to work harder than you. Because if you're the best employee the store has, the store can only do as good as you're willing to do. And that's it. So you hire people that are smarter, better trained, educated, pay them what they need, and your store can really reach that next level. Because just because you're the general manager or you run it or own it, hopefully you have people that work for you that are better than you are. And for one, you have someone to pass the baton to. You got somebody that can help you as well. Because as soon as you become stagnant, the store becomes stagnant. So that's really important to have that.
And not only the business that you manage the morale as well. How do you keep morale up?
A lot seems to go back to the motivation. I found that a lot of people are motivated by different things. When I first started managing the business, I'm like, everybody's motivated by money. Because back in the day, I was motivated by money. So I knew that like if I give someone $1 a raise, hey, all of a sudden their morale goes up, which it does. I mean, you give people money, the morale does go up, no question about it. But then I had an employee that didn't want more money, and I'm like, what? Excuse me? You don't want more money? He's like, no. Like I want a promotion with no extra money. I'm like, well, who gets that? You know? He's like, well, that's what I want. He wanted a better title so he could change his resume and say, hey, you know, I was actually in the management team here. I wasn't just a crew worker. And I'm like, I mean, do I have to pay you more? You're going to do more work and all that? And he's like, yeah, I want the responsibility. I want to learn. He's like, I want you to teach me these things. I'm like, okay. And I said, but once you start doing it, you're going to get a raise as well. He's like, well, that's great. I mean, I like raises, don't get me wrong, but that's not what I want, you know? And other people wanted to, like, be able to bring their family for a party. Like, you want your family to come to a get-together? Yeah, let's have, like, a crew party, but let us invite our families. Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, and we did it, they had a blast. Like, that was like the best thing ever. They got, you know, and so what we did is we took that opportunity to really praise the people in front of their family and friends, and they really liked it. So they're like, you know, now my family and friends know that I have this job, but they also know that I'm really appreciated, and I really bust my butt here, and the management sees that. Like, I'm an important part of this business, and we're showing that to family and friends. And so that was, you know, sometimes just praise. It works really well for people. Like, they want to know they're doing a good job. You know, a simple thank you note, you know, has been a big thing to people. Like a handwritten thank you note, like those just don't happen anymore. You know, and sometimes not even good job. A lot of people that just think, well, they know they're doing a good job because I didn't fire them. Well, it's not really enough. Sometimes you need to tell them, like, hey, you really are busting your butt. I appreciate that. You know, and just let them know that you appreciate them, you know, and that kind of thing. And you just got to find whatever motivates people. Sometimes you can ask them and they'll tell you. Other times they don't know. And, you know, so you got to find whatever makes them tick. And once you do, that boosts the morale. Is, you know, but it's not the same for everybody. And that was a mistake that I fell into early on. Is, you know, not everybody's the same. They're not all motivated by money. They're not all motivated by a gift. You know, that's not how it works. You know, sometimes it's, you know, being a listening ear for them because they got no one to listen to. And that's all they needed. And it's like they're going to be loyal to you because they feel this connection with you because you were willing to listen to their problem. Or you offered them something small when they really needed it. Didn't really think it was a big deal for me, but they really, you know, that was a big deal. And all of a sudden I have a loyal employee that's willing to do anything that I need. So it was pretty great. So that helps well.
Like you said earlier, you had multiple jobs before this one. Has any of those jobs helped you make decisions in this manager role? Or have you had managers in the past that you've taken aspects from their managing roles from, styles from? Have anybody inspired you to in the way you manage your store?
Quick answer is yes. A couple examples, like when I started over at McDonald's, you know, back in 2000 or 99 or whatever it was, had a manager named Kimball, and he was fantastic, but he was hard on us. But he made work kind of fun, but, you know, he always made sure to praise you when you did a good job. And like I enjoyed that. Like I knew exactly what I had to do. He made it very clear what was expected, and then he made sure to check on it and make sure it was done right. And then he praised you in front of all the other people. Like when you did a really good job, he made sure to let everybody know, hey, Eric did a really good job today. Look at his area. His area looks fantastic. And I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. You know, the big boss right there said I did a good job. And he knew that motivated people. And like it motivated me to do a better job. And I wanted to do my job even better to get that praise from him. Now he was very much a stickler for sure. But you know, I appreciated that because at least I knew where I stood. I appreciated that open and honesty. We all have those managers that, you know, try to make the job fun and they're not real sticklers. It's fun to work with them, but you don't really feel like you've done a really good job. You know, it's like, yeah, we had a good time at work and that's important to have fun at work, but like you leave there going, I'm not really sure I did the best job I could have, but we had a good time. So, you know, I try not to, you know, I like to have fun at work, but I also want to make sure that people know that, you know, this is, you know, how to get the job done well and to know they did well. When I went over to Labor Ready after that, I had a guy by the name of Bob that I worked for. Bobby's the one that kind of mentored me to do more towards the business aspect and learn the business things. He kind of took me under his wing. I was a customer service rep at the time for him when I first started, and he's like, you could run this store when I leave here in a year or two. And I'm like, I came from McDonald's and I don't know how to run a business. And he's like, I'll spend some time with you. He ran multiple businesses before, and I'm like, hey, let's do this, And so he taught me financial statements and income statements and how to sell, and all the different aspects that we need to learn how to cut expenses and all that kind of stuff. All that I've applied, to my business since, and I know that all because of him, because he took the time to mentor me for that year or so that we worked together. Fantastic experience, and opened up so many doors for me. And it took me. I was able to run that store once he left. I was there for another 6 years on top of that, and won numerous awards for sales growth and retention of customers and that kind of thing. All thanks to him. So I really appreciate that. Moving on to Kmart, I didn't necessarily have anybody real inspirational other than just knowing what my bosses wanted and sitting down, having that one-on-one, knowing what their goals are and making sure I meet those goals. And then moving on to here, I've looked at our owners and just say, he obviously knows what he's doing here at Hickory River, and then also just trying to sit down with him as well and what is his goals, making those goals some of my own as well as adding some of my own personal development on top of that. So I have taken the management styles of other people, learned what I liked, what I didn't like, and try to make myself more that way. My owner stressed to me, he's like, maybe someday you'll own a Hickory River, but treat the store even now like you own it. If you own this store, how would you make decisions? Because that's different than if you're just an employee here. When you have to think about, this is going to affect the bottom line, or this is going to affect employee morale, or this is going to make overtime, cost us too much, or whatever the case is, think like an owner, operate this business like an owner. Then whenever it's time for you to be an owner, it's just going to be easy for you because you've already operated like that. And he knows that I make decisions with his best interest in mind. That's it. It's easy.
A little bit of a fun question before I end off.
Okay.
What annoys you the most about this store? So we've covered the fun aspects, we covered the employee aspects. And it's always the small things, right?
It is. People being late. That bothers me. That annoys me a lot. It's like, I was always taught early is on time and on time is late. And then when people show up, 5 minutes late or 7 minutes late, it's like you don't respect the job. Be here on time. It's something simple. If you're on time, it just means you're ready to work, and that's all we ask is show up on time. Whenever people see someone else working really hard and they stand there and do nothing, boy, that bothers me as well. It's like, there's work to be done. You see these people hustling around and you're standing there or you're on your phone. You're on your phone in front of customers. How disrespectful is that? That annoys me a lot. People being on the phone, people not staying busy when there's work to be done. I understand there's also dead times as well. If your area is good to go, then have a little downtime. That's okay. But when there's real work to be done and things that have not been accomplished, let's get on it. Make sure to put our best foot forward. Poor customer service also, that's a bad deal for me. People come out for the experience at a restaurant. Even though we had to shut down for a while, they want the service. You have to have good food, but if you don't have good service to back it up and you're not friendly, that's half the decision of where to go eat. They want to have a good experience. The experience is with the customer service. So poor customer service, that just doesn't do it for me. So that's probably another one of the big annoyances, I guess. And people that are just stuck. People that are stuck, not willing to be motivated, not willing to do things differently. They want to do it their way or the highway. That also bothers me. I know that's my weak link, and I know that I can't grow my store, and my managers can't grow my store, and they're pulling my staff down with them too. One bad apple ruins the bunch, as the old saying goes. It's very true, and so I guess that's more than one thing that annoys me, but that's a few little things on there.
You were naming them off. You were a gunslinger.
It's fired them. But yeah, that's I guess those are a few pointers that get on my nerves, I guess. But there's things you learn to deal with, and you do your best to try to prep people in advance. I think it's only fair, even during the interview process, that I let people know what bothers me, and I tell them hey, if you work hard, stay busy, stay off your phone, provide great customer service, and serve quality food, which should be a given in my book. Should be a given. If you do that, you have management potential written all over you. And it's amazing how many people are flabbergasted by that. That's all you want me to do? Like, that should be what everybody does anyways. Like, yes, that's it. If you do that, you will be successful in this company. You'll get raises. You'll get promotions. I mean, like, I will work with people that are that caliber. If you're not that caliber, I probably don't have time for you. So, but yeah, I think it's only fair.
And to finish it off, I just want to ask, what's like the biggest topic that we didn't cover, that we did cover? I have this video to always look at and reference from. But what's like the main point if I forget? Because my memory might be not the best.
You and me both, especially me being double your age, Mr. In diapers. Whenever I started managing, the biggest thing I'm going to go back to the motivation of people. How do you motivate your crew? How do you keep them engaged? And how do you get them to treat the business like they own it as well? Like they're a partner in the business. Because you've got to have that in order to make your business successful. So find out how to motivate people and what motivates people. And don't think it's a blanket that covers everything. Because it's not. Everybody's different and everybody's motivated in a different way. And do special things for everybody. You know, that way they feel like this guy gets me, he understands. And you'll have a loyal crew. And it's great when you have a loyal crew, the whole business runs so much better. And you can take vacations. You can take time off. And that's what we all want. We need a good work-life balance. And when you have a good loyal crew that can back you up, you can do that. It opens up opportunities for you, whether that's promotions within the company, whether that's other opportunities, or whether that's just where you can go spend time with the family, which is very important. You know, I mean, you got to have that. So try to find that as best you can. Find a way to motivate people, specifically for each individual person, and look at them as areas of opportunity where it's your job to find that out and to do it. That'll make your life a lot easier.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure.
For taking time out of your day.
Sure.
For giving me some advice. Thank you.
Yeah. Good to meet you.